Okay, hey everybody, back with another video. This time, this is a little bit different of a video. I realized that this is our the 100th episode actually of me doing these updates specifically for this plot, not for Neopets in general, just for this plot specifically. And I was thinking what I wanted to do for that video. Um, and since we don't really know when the next update for the plot's gonna happen, at first it was gonna be just be the regular update, but they actually did. They just posted this today, a second anniversary update. So this is the second year of Neopets having this new team. That's what they mean by 2 years. Really, Neopets is older than that, 25 years. But this is like for this current team. They did a 2 years in review. So I figured this is a good 100th episode to do. It's just to kind of go over some of the Void Within stuff that's happening in this in the update or in this review, because they did talk about what they were going to do for later on in the next upcoming quarters. Okay. It's a really, really long update. So I do, if you're interested, I would read through it. I believe Jelly Neo has a summary of it, but really this thing is so long. It's worth just reading if you're interested in any sort of Neopets news, kind of if what you what they are achieving. Sorry, I'm like that was a lot of reading. Okay, so they go over some wins, but I'm gonna go straight to the Void Within. Okay, they had a couple, some of their mishaps that they talk about here. I did quite like the tone of this. Overall tone was really good. There was a lot of, you can tell that they're definitely looking into what the fans are saying, I feel, and they do admit that it's taking time. Okay. And I do have a little bit of comments to say about that, but I felt overall the whole post was very well written. Okay. So let's talk about specifically, let's focus on the Void Within stuff. This is what we are focusing on. So Void Within obviously started yesterday. Okay. We'll see what happens when the next update's going to be. Okay. So they talk a little bit about like they really developed the story. They were really working on it to get it to this point. Okay, and I think it's I hope it's gonna show. I really hope it's gonna show. Roadmap reveal. This is what they have. This image is really tiny, so I just dragged it up there, but I don't think it's making much of a difference. Okay, so here we are in Q3 of 2025. Void Within Lost in the Dark is that's the focus right now. Q4, we're going to get the Fairy Festival, which is awesome. A lot of people really love this event. And very likely, based on how it did last year, it is going to, again, probably connect with Void Within and Orion at the very least. So we're going to be doing that plot. Q5 is also when we're going to be getting the Halloween event and the Advent Calendar event. Last year I did both of them, but those were two separate series. Again, I will be doing that again. Okay. Void Within Act 4 looks like they're aiming for Q1 of 2026. Okay, so that's going to be Act 4 for that one. Now, is it going to end in Act 4? I think looking at this image for 2026 plus, this is the logo for Void Within. That you can see the up there. So it might not be. We'll read more in detail about it later. But Q2 of 2026, they are planning to revamp Altador Cup. Okay, which is awesome because we did not have an Altador Cup this year because of the Void Within stuff. Instead, we got a lot of really awesome lore, but no Altador Cup, unfortunately. Okay, so this is what they're planning for this year, August to September. Okay, so we have Void Within, Lost in the Dark, obviously. Battle Dome avatars, Invisible Pets finally getting a customization, a new Wheel of Starlight. Varwolf site-wide release. This is going to be huge. A lot of people are going to go crazy about that one. Still waiting for it. They said July. I think that was like the first time they mentioned it. Was like, oh, we're going to do it sometime in July. And then it kind of fizzled out. And then I guess now it's going to be whenever the heck it's going to happen. I know a lot of people who are really excited for that. Grave Danger Fairy Festival, right? Magical Return, end of September, early October. looks like new quests, new events, new quests, unique fairy prizes, and a donation feature refresh. Okay, nice. So we're gonna get that. Jador and Ellison are gonna get some quest enhancements, and then there's some updates. And then here's some of the merch stuff here. Yeah, so Upper Deck, Sun Scoops, and stuff like that. All right, so Fairy Festival wrap up in October. Then we're gonna have the Halloween event. This is a small NP event, few days, month-long NC event, prize pool refresh, new hub for archive stories. Nice. They didn't have that before, and I kind of that was one of my complaints from the one last year. I couldn't go back and reread some of it, and I did miss one of them because I misclicked. Ugh. Advent calendar and stocking spectacular again December. So these two are going to be two separate events. Okay, two separate types of videos I'm going to be doing. Same as last year. Okay, and then here is a bunch of the merch. Fat Mojo blind boxes. This is the big one for me, the tabletop RPG board game. I actually backed it, so I'm still waiting for it to happen. Okay. So January to March looks like they're going to go with Void Within Act 4. Roughly 6 weeks of new content and quests. That's a lot. So that's like a month and a half, basically, of stuff. Okay, and it looks like they have like a couple other things. Another loyalty program. I wonder what that is. So that's not premium. So we'll see what that is. And then the Neopets, which is always at the beginning of the year. That's gonna most likely Neopets is gonna be first, and then Void Within. I don't know why they put it in like that. I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes the Neopets I think they get delayed, but anyways, and then it looks like they're doing a collab. April to June looks like Festival Next is gonna come back bigger, better with more prizes. Again, Festival Next was tied to Void Within last year. We'll see let's see what happens with Act 4. I don't think Act 4 is gonna be the end of it. Maybe. Actually, let's go back to. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that was weird. I had to pause the video for a second because there was an audio. Something popped. It probably sounded kind of weird. It was like a weird pop. Okay. Anyways, Festival Next is going to be there. I pulled up Void Within real quick here. While I had that little pause there, just to see where. Let me see where the rewards were, because I think it does kind of say. Oh no, in the. Yeah, so there's an Act 5. There we go. I remember it listed in Act 5. So for sure they're getting Act 4 ready. And then we'll see. They're planning when is Act 5 going to happen, which we saw in the most likely going to be 2026, which is kind of crazy because this or the latter end of 2026. That it already is the longest plot, like date wise. Most plots only last 6 months. This one already like completely like throws all the other ones out of the water. So blows the other ones out of the water. It doesn't feel like it's that long though. I don't know. Maybe because of the way that they're writing it. We'll see. Bunch of stuff that they're doing. So that's all they have up to Q2 of 2026. Okay. So and then they talk a little bit about the anniversary, the ambassadors, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then if you wanna do their survey, you can, and all that jazz. Anyway, so that is it for Void Within as far as updates for that goes. So if you're just here for Void Within content, that is basically it. I want to thank everybody who has been watching these. And if you've watched all the way up to the 100th episode, that's awesome. I'm still going to make these because this is just fun for me to do. So that's basically it for this part of the video. The next part of the video, I just want to talk a little bit about, I guess as a fan, like how the updates are going and how I feel about the site. So starting in right now. Okay, so I guess I just want to talk a little bit about like how this update is and kind of reflecting back on the last 2 years, because really that's when a lot of people we got back and started replaying again, and that's me included. Like I was always in the fandom, like I was always a fan. It just like after it got purchased by NetDragon, it just kind of went so downhill. There was no point in me playing. I just didn't have any motivation to play. I know there's people that were still dedicated, but I definitely wasn't. So it's really cool that people kept going. So kind of just looking back the last 2 years, despite like what people say, and I think it's valid. It's always valid to complain. It's always valid to criticize. Okay, but I think some people need to give Neopets a little bit of slack. You had to realize we went from almost nothing to like a ton of content, huge, massive. I'm talking massive quality of life. I know there was a whole. Sorry, I'm adjusting. There was a whole controversy involving the Neo boards with one of the TNT members about looks like it was transphobia and all of that, which I'm so glad that Neopets. First of all, they addressed it very quickly. They addressed it within, I want to say, the day of all of that going on, maybe even within the 12 hours of it happening. They addressed it really, really quickly once like everybody started talking and pointing it out and really, really like making their voices heard. Okay. Now I know some people argue, oh, why should we even have to do that? Well, that's part of the process, and they do mention it in there later on in this whole giant page about the what happened owning our oopsies and all of that. So they do acknowledge it. It's actually their second point here. Okay. So on one hand, it's like, yeah, they should have had better training, blah, 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 and all of that. But what I'm glad that came out of it is Neopets' response to it. They took it very seriously. They immediately addressed it. They made a lot of, they made changes to TNT, the admin for that, for the boards and all of that. They made those changes extremely quickly. And then I think people have to realize, like, I think because I've played these kinds of games for a long time now. Like, it's really hard to play any of these pet sim games without any inch of like controversy. Okay, like pretty much every single one has been hit with controversy, right? And only a tiny handful of them have kind of gotten out of it. Like, not I don't want to say, like, I guess damage control. Like they approached it appropriately and well. And for every one that does well, there's two that just absolute like fire storm and just everything's just horrible. Okay, I think people kind of forget that because nowadays I think the developers of these kind of games understand and they do it a lot better now and are a lot more inclusive and supportive. So really, I think their approach was very good. Like they approached it really quickly. They're dealing with a lot of the issues that people criticize them. They're addressing it within like a week or less. They address stuff. Okay, I think their official address for the Neo board issue was I think it was within the week, but the action started happening within like the day. Is what I'm trying to say about that. I'm just glad that they're addressing it because there's so many other game companies that just absolutely do not do anything at all. And those that I feel like sometimes the ones that don't address their issues, sometimes they just get away with it. And in others, they try so hard to fix the issue. And yet the community still has to say something really negative about it, while letting others go scot-free. Like you can't do that, continue criticizing, continue like saying this is wrong. You guys should fix this, all of that, and appreciate, and also like, give some acknowledgement that they are actually trying to do something. They took the feedback. I think this is why Neopets is coming back, because they went from, again, zero care, bare bones, probably going to die, waiting for whales kind of stuff, to suddenly trying really hard to incorporate the community. It's a big tone shift. It's a big tone shift. Anyways, so that's all the rambling I wanted to do. I just wanted to say that I think what they're doing so far is really awesome. And I cannot wait to see what else they will do in the upcoming years of Neopets. Anyway, so thank you guys all for watching. If you listened all the way to the end, thank you for that. This is me just kind of voicing some of my ideas. We'll see when the next update is. And thanks again, guys, for 100 episodes.